In today's energy toning discussion, I have the pleasure of conversing with Linda Sellers, an esteemed holistic wellness consultant and Pangu Shengong instructor based in the USA. During our chat, we delve into the profound world of Pangu Shengong and uncover its numerous benefits, such as how this transformative practice empowers us to tap into our innate healing abilities, cultivate emotional balance, and create positive ripple effects within our families. We also explore the profound interconnectedness of energy and its pivotal role in shaping our lives. If you'd like to reach out to Linda for a consultation after listening or learn the Pangu Shengong moving form from either myself or Linda, check out the links below. Let's go back to the beginning of your journey to Pangu Shengong. Like what came before?
Wow. It's kind of a strange, it's synchronistic really, and how it evolved. But I had a lot of health challenges. My children had a lot of health challenges. So I was always looking for something helpful. And my son with kidney issues, the pain doctor, we tried all these pain things. The pain doctor finally said, "Have you tried martial arts?" And we're like, "No, we have not tried that one." So he started in Taekwondo and started learning that. And it was like, okay, that's kind of interesting and that's fun. We've lived in Japan. My husband's fluent in Japanese. So we're really familiar with Eastern cultures. And mine started with China. My dad was obsessed. And so, yeah, I could eat with chopsticks by the time I was 3. But, I had an interest there, but this really came to a peak at that time. And then I was costuming a community theater show that was based on Tai Chi Chuan. And I was like, as I'm learning about this through this play, I'm like, I want that. That's what I need right there. And I started looking for a teacher, and everyone that I found locally just didn't feel right. I know now that it was most likely because they were 3rd, 4th generation American. Like, it was an exercise form in their minds, not an actual doing anything with energy. And so I kept coming into these roadblocks, and it drove me nuts. Mm-hmm. And then I met Keith Cooley, and he was talking about Qigong, and I was like, what is that? That's actually what I was looking for. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
And so he taught it to me. I'm like, this is, I found the teacher came when I was ready. Mm-hmm. And he taught me, but then Master O's alive. And I'm like, you can learn from the master. Let's study with the master. I want to know every little thing I can possibly learn while he's here to teach it. Mm-hmm. And kind of became engrossed with it.
Yeah.
So that was my story. And here I am. And my health and my relationships are so much better.
Amazing.
Just from that.
Yeah. So how long did you learn from Keith, or did you learn from Master O, or did you learn from both?
I learned the practice from Keith, mm-hmm. But then I started going to as many classes with Master O and retaking the moving form and the non-moving form, and working up to the advanced cadence, and working into being a teacher, and mm-hmm. All that stuff, because I was seeing the benefits right away. It wasn't like practice, but it was right away that I could feel the energy. I could feel it shift. I could see my life shift.
That's amazing. So, had you had any, because you're a nest practitioner as well?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you had a concept of, so nest came before Pangu Shengong. Is that right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then through nest, that's how you met Keith.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly the same story as me, basically. And so you did have this concept of energy and how it worked and the mechanism to a certain degree. Did you have any other, like, because you said you did try some martial arts and things like that. Did you have any other experience of qi flowing through your body prior to Pangu Shengong?
Not that I was aware of, but I was aware. So when I was younger, I was in a ballet company, and so I had grown up dancing, and we were doing all kinds of breathing and sending energy out through our hands and our fingers and up and down. And I was just doing what they were telling me and following it. I didn't realize it was actually a thing. But I knew that I could center myself in my center, the lower dantian, and really like ground myself in. After I learned Pangu Shengong and actually met Paul Frazier, and learned just a few little other tidbits here and there, I realized that I had been doing energy things that some were good, some were bad, just because it had been part of my life and I didn't even know it. Yeah. And so it's kind of come full circle, and now it's all coming together now and making sense. And I'm like, oh, that's why that was happening. So in some ways, I guess you were kind of subconsciously primed for it a little bit, and then it just came at exactly the right time for you. Yeah. So the very first time you practiced Pangu Shengong, what were the sensations that you had? Like, how did you know that this was a thing that you wanted to really pursue further? Well, when I was taught, I went, I did it with Keith, and it's like, okay, but I was so focused on, am I getting it right and doing it right? And so wasn't really feeling too much at that time, but then I started to have little bits. But I went to a Nest Health convention and met Donna there, and a bunch of others that also know it. And so we went out one night on the beach, and the moon was full, and we did the Qigong together, and that just whoosh, the energy, being with other people, me and the moon, just so bright. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness, wow, that was that was an experience. Amazing. Yeah. And so I continue to have experiences now and then. I can usually feel the energy, and if I'm not doing the form just right, there's like a certain place to hold my hands. And then you kind of lock in. Oh, there it is. Okay. And usually I'll just kind of feel it go in through my hands and through my body and stuff, which is kind of neat. And other times, amazing images come to me that solve problems or answer questions or kind of order things in my life. And it's like, oh, okay. So when it comes to focus, I'm really kind of, when people are like, I can't focus, my mind wanders. And I'm like, well, try to focus, but my mind wanders and answers the questions that I have. So yeah, I let it. Yeah. No, I'm exactly the same. Like, I'm not too concerned if my mind wanders, but I have found that, say I come to the practice with a particular emotion or a frustration or just like something or a pain in my body, and it's just like, okay, if this pain was an emotion, what would it be? And that sort of comes up, and then just focusing on that emotion and just asking for it to be resolved, I guess, and then solutions to, the other challenge that might have been contributing to the physical pain come up just spontaneously. And that's one of the things I find really amazing. And that's so different to any other meditation form where you're supposed to focus on a mantra and you're supposed to let all thoughts out of your mind and all of that. It just seems to happen quite spontaneously, which is nice. Yeah, I had one experience that was really cool. Not cool, but cool. I kind of asked before I did the practice, what can I improve within me? So I start the practice, and all of a sudden I get this welling up of hatred towards somebody that I love.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is this? I love them. And it's like, oh no, but you're harboring this. And it was like, oh, I really am. And I had to really pay attention to and admit, yeah, that's there. That shouldn't be there, but it is there. And so I dug in deep, and I'm like, okay, we're going to get all of this up there. I am just going to feel everything in that and do the qigong. And I kept trying to hold that. And then at the end, the last little bit, I'm doing it and I'm trying to pull up that emotion, and I can't. And I think of it first, I think of all the different aspects. I think of all the times they made me crazy, and it wasn't there. And I'm like, I can't pull that up anymore. It's not there. So it's, and like, even to this day, I go in, I'm like, no, it's not there. I really do love them.
That's awesome. So it's like the charge or the repressed emotion had just dissipated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And that was so beautiful. And it was just one form. It wasn't like I had to grind it out for 6 days of all the, it was like just holding it and really allowing myself to feel the truth of how I was really feeling. And then to let the form do its thing. It was beautiful. And I'm glad that I had that tool available.
Yeah.
To do it.
No talk therapy needed.
Right.
Just like a willingness to be open and like, how can I improve, or how can I, make my life better, or what do I need to learn? I mean, there's so many angles that you could come in to one single practice with. And I think that's where the nuance of this practice comes in, that it's not just standing there, rotating the sun and rotating the moon and sun and moon combined. There are things that angles you can go about resolving things. So when you started learning, you started practicing, do you remember specifically what health challenges started to subside?
My energy got better, not energy like drinking extra coffee and you're bouncing off the walls and stuff. Just noticing that I was able to accomplish more each day. And then I started, it was during a marathon that I had the idea come to me to do the morning practice, or to practice every day.
Was this the moving marathon? Just to clarify what you mean by marathon, like?
Oh yeah, it was a moving form marathon.
Yeah.
And I toyed with that idea, going, well, that would be lovely if I could offer to a place for people to practice with me every day consistently. If I did it Monday through Friday, I'd forget. I need that consistency, or else I'll forget. As I looked through my day, the only time I could possibly fit that in is 7:00 in the morning. And I was like, I'm a night person. Are you kidding me? There's no way. I have been practicing getting up by 6:30 my entire life, and I could never do it. There was no motivation strong enough to get me to do it. And when I had to, it was just torture. So Donna helped me for a week, and I practiced, and I was a failure. I'd sleep through, it just wouldn't happen. But then I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. We are going to do this. And so I started doing it, and now I'm waking up when my alarm doesn't go off. There's a few times I slipped through, but I was up late or something, but I am absolutely blown away that I could do this thing. It's easy. I love it, which has never happened before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, that's incredible, because that helped. But then some of those mornings I wake up and I have like this raging headache. I know it's my liver stagnation. But I will do just one moving form and the headache will be gone. major headache, not just little one.
Like
And
migraine.
it will be gone. Yeah.
Amazing.
And that just blows me away every time that happens. It's still, I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I can take medicine and hurt my liver even more to cause it to hurt even more later. You know, like I can go in this loop, or I can do Pangu Shengong, and it just calms my system, calms the headache, and I'm good.
I mean, it's just amazing to have that level of control over the pharmacy of your own body, you know, to have such a simple tool to overcome. And, you know, in some ways it would be more simple to go take the pill, but the level of self-confidence that it builds to know that you can do something and make it go away is really priceless. So,
yeah,
I can totally relate
also,
to getting, say again.
I was going to say, you can be anywhere and you always have it with you. So you're not stranded. Oh, I have a headache. What do I do?
That's right.
Or some other, my back hurts. I can't go on. We went to Disneyland, and we were walking around all day, and we had traveled that morning. So we got up at 2 a.m, flew in, went to Disneyland. So I was exhausted just showing up. And I remember walking the 2 miles back to the car because the trams weren't running. And I was like, at the end of the day, going, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And I just kept saying the password over and over and over in my head. Yep. And it cut enough pain that I could get to the car and be okay. And I'm like, it's amazing.
Yeah. We can always do more than we think we can. It's just, in some ways, we're quite a slave to our physical existence. But when you bring the energetic, esoteric, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, it's this whole other level of energy. So there you go. I can totally relate to that, not wanting to get up early, and because I've been inconsistent with that throughout my life. But I'm like you now that I take that early morning 6:45 a.m. practice. My body clock's just change. I can no longer sleep in. Maybe I could sleep in an hour or so, which is why I wanted to shift my Sunday practice an hour later. But I'm still waking up at the same time, so now I can't sleep in anymore. So it's just, it's a fixed thing. And but one thing I wanted to mention, though, about how you were saying the only time you could fit it in was 7 a.m. That kind of brings up an important point as to how willing people are to commit to something like this, because they might learn the form and they have every good intention to do it. But until they actually block it out in their calendar as to, okay, when am I actually going to do this? Chances are it's probably not going to happen, because it's always a nice idea to do something like this, but to really commit is it's another level again.
It's a huge level, because this is such an easy form and it's really boring.
Yeah. That's right.
It really is. And you're like, oh, do I have 20 minutes to stand there? And when I first started doing it, I couldn't stand for 20 minutes. It hurt so bad. I thought my legs were going to fall off. I do it, but it was awful. Now I do it and I'm like, my legs don't hurt. That's crazy. I still don't have the strength to do it for really long times, but at least it's not pain.
Yeah.
And that was great. But it's still, there were times I'm doing it and I'm like, okay, we're almost done. This is good. I'm feeling good energy. We're almost done. And then level 2. And I'm like, we're not even halfway done yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no.
It's like, I thought I was on level 3.
Right. But when I do an hour like I do in the morning, once I get through that first 20 minutes, the next 40 minutes go by like that. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, it's over?
Yeah.
And so if I can slide into the next one, I can get another done.
Yeah.
While I'm still in that groove.
Yeah.
that state of gong.
The first one's definitely the hardest.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else? Oh yeah, so headaches is one thing that's improved for you, and obviously some physical stamina as well. What about, can you go more in depth about the emotional aspects of life?
Well, I'm an emotional healer, so there's a lot that I had dealt with before it. But when that and my clients have added that, they don't have to think so much about their emotions because they're only focusing on being kind and benevolent. And everything kind of fits into, is it or isn't it not? And it can be transformed. But I noticed in doing it that I got calmer. I was less likely to get triggered by little things. And even before that, the people in my life weren't triggering me as much. So it wasn't, that's what surprised me, is how it went out and flowed and not just changed things in me, but everything that's in my world. And so people just started showing up different, calling more, being more friendly. And so I realized that mom really does have a key place in the home. And when she is connected, then everything else, they don't, is just functioning better. Even though my kids are mostly out of the house, they're out of the house, we're still feeling that connection and that love growing deeper than it was before.
So you're like the energetic battery for the family. Yeah,
yes.
I've definitely noticed that in my own family too. If things just don't run as well if I'm not as good, if I'm not, bringing the stuff to the Pangu Shengong practice, if I'm sort of going through the motions and I'm not actually consciously going, okay, I'm actually feeling this frustration or that, and, trying to transmute that or transform it, it does make a difference. When was the point that you decided you were going to be a teacher?
It was pretty early on, because although I wanted to learn this Qigong form, and I'm like, I think this is why I was drawn here, and I think this is how I was. When I came into Ness, it was that was an interesting story too, and I think it was the only way I would have really found Master O. But I was like, who is this guy? I learned the form, I learned the story. I'm still kind of skeptical. So I bought everything, and this is how I operate anyways. And it's like, okay, I want to know everything now. So I just dove in, started reading the books, fallen asleep reading the books. I knew that feeling from other books I've read. And I'm like, okay, this is legit, because I know what this is. So then I got excited and could read even more. And just started taking the classes. I wanted to feel the energy of it. I wanted to know. And so pretty soon I'm like, no, this is legit. And I am seeing results. My health is, everything's starting to shift around me quickly. And although having Keith teach my people, it's like, I just need to teach my people. And so now I have my people, I have Keith's people that were really my people that I couldn't teach and he taught, but I'm taking care of them and stuff. So I was like, people need this. I want to easily teach them and bring them in, because it will change their life more than anything else that I do. And I've done some amazing things, and I've trained in some amazing things, but this is just like so far above any of it, and the easiest thing that somebody can do. And there's no supplements, and there's no, it's you cultivating massive amounts of life force.
Yeah.
So
It's funny, whenever I see an ad for some supplement now or some, magic bullet or whatever, of which I used to feel I'd be prone to wanting to buy, now I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't need that. Like, it's a really
exactly
now. I saw some anti-aging thing this morning. I'm just like, I was a little bit drawn in, and then I'm like, you're already on an anti-aging program here, so with Pangu Shengong. So no, I don't need that.
It's so budget friendly that way, because you can see that. It's like, oh, if I don't like that, I can just do more qigong.
Yeah,
that's free.
Yeah, exactly.
Just up my game more, and yeah, I don't need all that. Occasionally, there's a few things. All right, that would be beneficial for today. But most everything's covered. Yeah,
definitely. Now, I read your Facebook post the other day about the friend that has gone into remission with cancer. Can you talk more about that? Is that something that you are at liberty to speak about?
Well, it was a friend of a friend of a friend, and my friend wanted to help. And I said, you can gather some of these of your classmates, me and other people, and set a time, and let's just all send healing energy to her. And she was in the ER and waiting for a liver transplant, and like not very conscious. And I could feel that. I could feel where she was at. I'm like, this is a little scary in here. But we all sent energy for an hour. And my friend, reported the next day that she was stable, and they were getting ready to send her home.
Wow.
But she was stable enough to have the liver transplant when it came available. One did, and then it wasn't good enough, so she didn't get it. But I'm like, we can send energy into her to keep her stable until she can get a liver. When what she does, let's all send energy into the new liver so that when the doctors pull it out, it's a good quality for her. I mean, there's so many applications that you can use the healing skills with it on. So, but that was miraculous to see such a change.
Yeah.
Because she was going out and to bring that energy up.
So is she the one with the stage 4 cancer, or are you talking about someone else?
I was talking about someone else.
Okay, so there's another amazing story.
Yeah, there are so many cancer stories in the Pangu Shengong world that it's amazing.
It is amazing. I've actually interviewed Xinghua. I'm just waiting for some Chinese translations. So Terry's helping me, but I just want to get the nuance of exactly what he said before I actually put it out. But incredible story, stage.
His story, his story is great.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah,
I am prone to skin cancer. I am white all the way through. It was so unnerving to my dad that when I was 1 year old, he started putting me in the sun every summer, getting a nice crisp burn. And so I am totally set up for skin cancer. And I've had some bad ones, but I've noticed some of the little spots that I've been keeping an eye on are no longer there.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, I don't know if it's related, but I'm doing enough that things are starting to shift and change.
Yeah. Awesome.
I don't have a big story to tell. I just have all these little ones. Well, the headache got better. The skin cancer, the little spot I've been watching, it's gone. Just things like that.
That's how it is. It's subtle little changes over time. Because I mean, someone who like Xinghua, his blood levels changed within 2 months, and that's how he knew what he was doing was working. But he also was practicing 8, 9, 10 hours a day, so.
Right. So because of that, I go, if I really want to shift something, I just need to do more.
I could
Just
do 8, 9, 10 hours.
more.
Actually, I don't have time to do that, but I know it's good to know it's an option if I ever had a terminal, suddenly, something came on, which I'm not expecting if I'm consistent with Pangu Shengong, but, I guess karma can throw weird things at you for some life learning reason, who knows, but still it just.
I got COVID at the end, but it was miserable. It was really miserable, but I woke up one night and my heart rate was like crazy and it scared me. So I went into the hospital knowing I just need some oxygen. Otherwise, I think I'm okay. And they kept me for a few days and I was absolutely okay, except I needed oxygen. But with the oxygen, I was up doing my Qigong, going, the more I can get in, okay, I got to lay down. I'm really tired because it zaps the energy out of you. But I was doing that. Master O helped some. But that was a measurement. I can still get up and I can still do the Qigong. So, we're good. And I think it was much lighter than the potential that it could have been.
Well, because someone in your circumstance might have gone in and they ended up on a ventilator, and we know what happens after that.
Right.
Chances of getting out there alive is pretty slim, for whatever reason, which we probably can't go into on YouTube. But but the point is, you managed to avoid that, and so after that COVID experience. I do remember you actually speaking about that on Facebook, and my sense after that is that you committed even more deeply to Pangu Shengong after that. Would that be a correct assessment?
That would be correct, because I'm like, I don't want to do that again. And the reason, and I believe the reason that I got it, because it was near the end of things, and I was doing a lot of Qigong, but that was the Disneyland trip too. And I had pushed myself well over my capabilities, and I wasn't as diligent in my daily Qigong. I was kind of getting in. Oh, I got one in. And so it wore me down. So when I woke up at the end of the week and I went, oh no. I knew it wasn't that I caught a virus. It was because I allowed myself to get so weary in my mind. Not just my body, but my mind was weary. And I'm like, there it is. Oh man. And I knew better. Now I really know better. And sometimes you have to have that experience to reinforce that, I really was on the right track. I've got to go back to doing that, because I completely relate. Like at the end of last year, like I hadn't been sick at all actually since I started Pangu Shengong, and that's despite, teaching flute students who came in with COVID, and, my own father having COVID and staying with us at the time, and like I just didn't get it. But I did end up with some bronchitis at the end of last year, and it wasn't. I did do the tests just for whatever, just out of curiosity. It didn't come up positive, but anyway, I'd never had bronchitis before. But I know leading up to that, I had slacked off on my Pangu Shengong practice. It's almost like once your body gets a taste of this extra life force energy, it doesn't want to go back. But I also know that I was just weary from the last few years, Melbourne being the most locked down city in the world, and my anger and my skepticism about the government and distrust and just the grief, the grief of what everyone had lost throughout those couple of years. And I think my body was finally able to release that grief at that time, because most of the crisis was over, like we'd gone back to normal. But I know that, so not only was the grief, but also I had slacked off, weeks leading up to that point. So I can relate to that. And again, it was after that I thought, okay, I need to do what Linda's doing and what Donna's doing. I need to take an hour every morning where people can join, and that's going to keep me accountable, and that's going to help others as well. So
Yeah. So similar.
It's so
Complete.
nice to do it with other people. And
Yeah.
I love that they do it from Pangu Ranch so that you have this community, but
Yeah.
there's different time zones.
Mm.
And so it's nice to have options around the clock. And
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I would do things with other people before I started doing the 7 o'clock. I would join with other people like at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning because I'm a night person. But I didn't want to make that my my time period because no. So I had to so I haven't joined them in a long time just because I'm going to bed earlier now.
Yeah, it's like, no, I need my sleep. But I have to say, your session during our deepest, darkest lockdown moments, before I'd become a teacher, the 9 p.m. in our winter, that's my 9 p.m., your 7 a.m., worked for me really well. And I really noticed when I stayed for the full hour, it did make a big difference to me, especially like the next day. I could just, this sort of lightness of being came across. So you were definitely, just the fact that you held that hour, that's really helped me in my progression and journey towards becoming a teacher. So I have to thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad that it helps.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. Just knowing someone else was there on the other end and feeling the group energy, the group synergy, even though we're across the globe, it's still the same. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So just to finish up, can you tell me more about what you do and how you help people, basically, your whole, what you offer?
Well, I offer a lot of what you do, but before that, I was trained in emotional polarity technique, which is a technique to address your emotions, but it is based in the Chinese meridian system and the emotional connection with that. When I learned it, I did not know that. But then as I had progressed with NES and everything else, I was like, oh, this is where it came from. And so I studied more about that. But I still work on the emotional level because most people who are sick, it started inside them first, in their thoughts, their thought processes, how they think and interact with the world. And so when you can have enough life force and you can look positively, not positive talk, but to really address where you have emotional hangups and belief systems. One of the big openings for me was, and I'm going to read it, I have it here because this is Master O. He's talking about the core of the first line in the password, take kindness and benevolence as basis. And he says, everybody and everything should be dealt with on the basis of kindness and benevolence. The result would be that one would rather be ill-treated by all the people in the world than ever be unkind to others. And so I work with people's emotions, but how are they interacting? Like they're having an emotional response to something. But when they can turn that around and look at, because it's usually a person, it can be a government, but, and to look at them in different eyes through the eyes of kindness. And sometimes it's really hard, but it's totally changing your mindset. When you change your mindset, your emotions change, your physiology changes. And even just smiling when you're doing the practice changes your physiology. And so I work with the emotional side of things to get the physical side healing and back on track. So
and that's a very challenging concept, what you read out, because we very quickly want to go into victim mode. It's like, but what they did was not fair. It's like they were mean, or it was wrong, and so we really have to sit with that. And the Pangu Shengong helps to transmute that kind of feeling of victimhood.
It can transmute the energy of that, but then it can also help you realize, wait, I have more power standing and letting them just irritate me, and not get triggered by the irritation, but see them as a human that deserves kindness, even when they're going crazy. Totally changes your mindset. And now you're standing in a place of power instead of a place of, they're picking on me. Why are they picking on me, mommy? And
exactly. Yeah. So, so do you work with people on Zoom or in person or a combination, or how do you work?
It's a combination. I was trying to get people to move online because everything that I do can be done
online.
And then, unfortunately, the lockdowns and stuff happened, but that benefited me because I'm like, see, look, let's try this. And people were like, wow, this is great. When I'm sick and I don't want to get out of bed, I can still meet for a treatment as is. I don't have to get dressed, go to the car, and people started to like that more. There's some things I do that need to be in person. And so if they're local, they can come in and I can treat them, but I'm always looking for ways that they can treat themselves if they're not here. But so most of my clients are through Zoom or phone and treat them.
And what would a typical consultation look like? So someone's come to you and they want help with whatever. What does it look like from start to finish?
It depends on what they're coming to me for. So I do a free consultation just to kind of see what's going on. Can I help you? Is it worth committing? And then what would be the best for you? I have a membership program that if you're a member of it, you kind of get everything when you need it. But we'll talk about that. Then there's a paid beginning evaluation. I have found with working with people who are depressed or anxious that they've been told that by somebody that that's a mental thing, and it may be, I don't know, that's not my field. But when I do the biofeedback scans, they always come up with chronic infections in their body. And I'm like, this could be because your body's trying to heal you and it can't. It's not, it may not be mental, but if you clear that up, then things start to shift. And you also, in trying to get that chronic illness taken care of, have chewed up a lot of life force. So I kind of require everybody to learn Pangu Shengong at some point. If they're really serious about getting better, that's like a no-brainer. Just do it. And so when they start practicing that, and then we start addressing some of these other physical issues that have been overlooked, then they start feeling better. It's amazing.
And when you say biofeedback scan, are you referring to the Ness Health scan?
The Ness Health scan and the Genius.
So. And just so people understand, what is the Genius?
It's just a biofeedback scanner that analyzes your voice to see where there's energetic disruptions in your body field. And it's just it's another way of looking at. Ness does the same thing. It's looking at your energy and where there's dysfunctions. I use both of them because both have different properties that I like looking at and using better. So
the good thing about the Genius is that you can listen to the healing frequencies based on your scan, whereas Ness requires the infoceuticals, the imprinted information. So I guess there's benefit in both. But I guess the genius is just convenient from that perspective, especially from working at a distance. But yeah.
It's convenient, and it gives some price point options.
Mm-hmm.
So many people end up, they've had problems for so long, and they're tired and they're worn out, and they're just never think they can get better, and then they end up on my doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot to lift up, because had they come earlier, they wouldn't have had to spend years and years and years feeling terrible.
Yeah.
But some by that point have used up their life savings, have spent everything. They're just like, I can't buy another supplement. And I'm like, I hear you. I hate that too. Let's kind of work on diet, exercise, but let's not spend a lot of money. I don't want you to have to spend a lot of money. And so I don't want them to come to me and be like, okay, that's $12,000, because they're used to hearing that.
Yeah.
And so I try and make it as affordable as I can. And I've been extremely blessed to be in a position where I can at this time. That may change, but at this time I can make it affordable. And and they're required to do qigong, and they're required to listen to their frequencies, and they're required to scan themselves every week so we can track progress. Because if you don't measure something, you don't remember that you felt bad yesterday or 2 days ago. And so I want to track it to see, look, you were here and now you're clear up. You're doing great. Things are moving. So
yeah, definitely. What would you tell someone who, say they've learnt Pangu Shengong and they've, they're just not seeing any results? Like, what's the first thing that you say to them?
There are some that they just don't feel it and just don't get it, and they'll walk away, and I'm like, okay, I'll still include you as my student, and you're still part of my care. But those that are struggling but really want to, I tell them to just keep with it. You may not feel things, but things are working, and start paying attention to what's happening in your world. You might be doing it because you have low back pain. And then 2 months later, you're like, I still have low back pain. Nothing's changed. I don't feel any energy. I'm just doing these silly hand movements. It's like, well, think about what's happened in your world. Back pain's still there, which is connected to finances. You just told me you got a promotion at work. What other little nuances are happening in your life? I want a better relationship. I want to be calmer inside. And then the people around you start shifting and changing. So they're not triggering you to then go through that whole cycle. Somewhere along your connections with everything, an adjustment is happening, and you just have to know where to look to see it. So start paying more attention to the world around you, and that usually kind of helps.
Love that, yeah, because that is the subtle nature of energy in this interconnected matrix web, whatever you want to call it. So it's so holistic in so many ways. So
I mean, I've had people going, I don't think it's working, and I'm still having this issue and that issue physically with their body. And then I'm like, yeah, when was the last time you had an argument with one of your kids? Oh, it's been 6 months. How many times did that happen before? Every day?
Yeah.
Something's working.
Yeah. The energy goes where it's first needed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So where can people find you? Website, email, whatever?
My website is www.theemotionconnectionworks.com. And you can find me on Facebook on Linda Sellers, or my business website, which is the Emotion Connection LLC.
I'll put all the links in the description, in YouTube description, so people can find you. But yeah, anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Well, if anybody wants to work with me, I like texting better than phone calls because I can squeeze that in between clients where phone calls, I don't know if I can. So best is to first text, then email, then call. But
I can totally relate to that. Yeah. The amount of times you try and tee up a phone conversation with someone and you're just missing each other all the time. But yeah.
Because I mean, Jim, I get up to do the Qigong in the morning. I start at 7 and I usually don't go to bed until 10 or 11 because I'm working with people all day. So trying to fit in, and it's just me. I'm like, a secretary would be nice, but not at this time. I'm trying to keep those costs down, guys.
Yeah, I get it. Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Linda, and pleasure talking to you. And
thank you so much.
Yeah,
this is so fun.
And I'm really loving this community that we seem to be, connecting with each other and helping each other out here and there. And it's great.
It's a great community. I went to Greece this year, met up with another student there. It was wonderful.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm going on the other side of the world, maybe. And I'm like, hey, I have friends there too. Because we meet through this community and then you start chatting online. And
I love that. I know if I ever get to the US, and I am planning on getting there sometime, I know that, I want to connect up with all you guys. So
you have so many. You could go clear across the US and stay with people and never have to have a hotel. Because there's enough people clear across, even just with me, that I'm like, I'll stay with them. We'd love to have you.
Pretty cool. All right. Well, let's leave it there, and I'll see you in the next practice session.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.